You bought him a new one. Okay, we'll call to order the meeting of the Lancaster County Correctional Facility Joint Public Agency for Tuesday, October 28th. Copy of the open meetings ordinance is posted at the rear of the hearing room. And we'll start out by asking for approval of the minutes.
Move approval.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Are there additions or corrections? If not, we call a roll, please.
Emery?
Yes.
Smoyer?
Yes.
Hudkins?
Yes.
Motion carries 3-0. Next item is approval of claims processed through October 21st, 2014.
Okay, I've got a slight change. I had sent that list out to you, showing 3 different payments for Sampson, Dickey and Burham, and the police garage. And we did get a revised Sampson bill. The original bill was $101,126. The revised one came in at $107,911. So it's a plus $6,785, and it's kind of on their closing out. Through discussion with Mike, I think we're believing that this is the last Sampson payment. So with that revised $107,911, it would bump up the grand total to $135,197.75.
And the additional approximately $6,000 you verified it is for legitimate
Yes.
services
yes, we,
provided.
Their attorney sent us some backup to support that. So that is in there. Talking with Mike, the Dickey and Burnham one on the jail warehouse improvements, we'll have one more payment for just retainage. So they are done there. Mike can kind of address that there. So on this checklist, we should be checking off that we should not see too many payments left. Sampson should be done. Dickey will have one more. And then me and Mike was talking earlier, then we should be able to start. Next month I've got my bond payment that will need to be made, but then we should start being able to move to quarterly type meetings. So that's kind of where we're at on that.
And the payment to the police garage, that's for?
That's for a vehicle, and that $3,000 that we've got there is coming out. We've got some DEC money that we were reimbursed from, and that's coming out of that DEC money.
Okay. This is for use around the jail? Mike?
Yes. What that is, it's a surplus vehicle that the city had on the auction. We're using that for staff back and forth to get back down here. It's a older Malibu. So we thought for that amount of money, and they take care of them, we could use one more used vehicle in the fleet. So
Was it low mileage and pretty good shape?
3,000, I believe.
Okay, that kind of
And
explains.
it's a little smaller, so it's just, we're not going to use it for inmate transport, just that. But we see those surplus. We bought a tractor a couple of months ago off the auction, so we kind of look and keep our eyes open for those. Same way when we had surplus, the city, we gave them some of the stuff at Air Park, some of the stainless, and they used that at some of their projects. So we, some of it's well-used iron, but they have some use for it, so that's worked out for them. So we gave that to them. So there now and then they do have some value, and so we're using that. Now the DEC money that Dennis has explained to you, that we're using that kind of helps in that capital outlay for the jail. So we're trying to get that used for that purpose instead of just going to the budget. So we're staying out of the general funds, using the last reimbursement money to buy things like this. You'll probably see things like a larger mower for next spring that we'll be using for fine trim. I do know we have a lift that's coming in. We have high spots for being able to replace light bulbs, an internal lift. We will have a lift for the warehouse. So those will be coming to you, I think, probably quarterly after this part. You'll see one more Dickey Burnham, that, as he said, the retainage bill. And then we will have, I think we have a cleanup with Clark Anderson and then Ferris Engineering. Ferris Engineering did all the work, and they have their retainage to finish up their payments, in those areas. But he is right. This is the last one. Sampson notified us the last bill. So 61 invoices later, you've paid this to Sampson. So they're done.
And the pneumatic air doors are working properly?
The pneumatics we're working on some of the sliders still today. That's all covered by them. We had some rollers issues as well as some bar issues on the doors. They are still working on those and making sure they're tweaked in, but they're all running right now. But anything that if they have any actions that's action meaning going back and forth, that they're going to take care of it. So you'll probably see some of that work done in the next few months as well. Other than that, you're probably going to see some work on some of the ditches. I know on the 40th Street with the road work, the ditch has changed a little bit. We've had a lot of water wash through, so you're going to probably see something be bid out to finish that culvert on the southwest side of the building. So that will be, again, coming out of either the proceeds or DEC money, the reimbursement money we have. So
Is that going to be our responsibility?
yeah, that's our ground, that's ours. It's probably design-wise that should have been differently because we have so much water coming off of 80 that comes through that property. If you remember, that property spread out and that water would just go through the field. Well, now we've all moved it to the west to that one ditch. And so in that design, they knew there would be some possible problems of try to channel that under a culvert. So I believe you'll see a bid to be able to put out through purchasing to fix that culvert and keep it so it's not washing out. And with, the rain we had, that revealed that to us real quickly. So.
Okay. Any further questions on the claims? We have a motion and a second.
So moved. Second.
Further discussion? Call the roll.
Smoyer.
Yes.
Emery.
Yes.
Hudkins.
Yes.
Motion carries 3-0. Item 3 is a deposit placement agreement with First State Bank.
Right, so this item here is just First State Bank would kind of like to be a player if the JPA has some additional funds. This placement agreement is just getting us set up so that between us and First State Bank, if the county treasurer sees that that there's a place over there earning some interest, this will just allow for the JPA to move money over there. So it's just kind of a formality. Whether we use them, it'll kind of just depend on rates and, sometimes just banks taking money, things like that. So I got some agreements here that I just will need Larry's signature on if you guys want to go that route. So that's just kind of getting us set up for that.
Any further questions? So what you're asking for is a motion authorizing the chair to sign those papers?
Yes.
So moved. Dennis, are we changing? You're changing from one bank to another?
No,
or
First
you're
State
just
Bank is
spreading it out.
Yeah,
a
this
little
is First State Bank's never kind of maybe been a player, and now they were through discussions with the county treasurer's office. They were just kind of checking, and because the JPA is really its own separate entity, we really need an agreement signed by the JPA. So it will just give us the ability, if they have room or if they have the best interest, it just will allow us to utilize them.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Smoyer
Yep.
made the motion. Councilman Emery seconded. Any further discussion? If not, call the roll, please.
Emery.
Yes.
Smoyer.
Yes.
Hudkins.
Yes.
Motion carries 3-0. Next item is public comment.
Mike or Dennis, you're taxpayers, you want to comment?
I think we got it. I know it's been a long haul. I appreciate him coming to these meetings, and we are really close to the end of making payments. I know we deferred some of our, like you say, the ditch work and things till we saw what we had. We probably will have some sewer work being done because they're doing some work on that area out there, but it was really good to be able to be frugal with the money, and so we actually have those funds to finish that up. But we're done with the big contract, and we'll be trying to finish up this warehouse as well.
What are either of you hearing about the completion of the overpass on 40th Northwest 40th?
Well, it was interesting. You brought it up. It really kind of slowed down.
I went by there a month ago and they haven't done anything.
And we asked Engineer Miller, I believe, for the city who's kind of supervising that, and they just haven't been back on the job. They told us it'd be Christmas of this year, but I think it's just Christmas. I mean, we don't know what year. So, I'm hoping by spring we should have something done. I know the winter just slows them down, but you're right, Larry. It's been pretty slow. We have our temporary roads we can get in and out, and I know we've had to, have calls about the weeds, but they've been able to chop some of those down. So,
Well, that's what I'm a little bit worried about, expending funds for a fix and more engineering about the west side until they get that roadway done. We don't really know where that water's going to go, or I would think we'd do it in concert with finishing up the road.
sure, and I think that's why we want to work with them to say, okay, they're done with their work on that. They just haven't paved it. And that's why I think we've seen a lot more water than what, Clark Anderson will tell you. They'll be glad to speak to you about what they need to do to design that. But we have a water line there that they're concerned about making sure it's covered that comes out of that west meter house. So, but I think it's good the JPA, we have the dollars there to be able to finish that out. And I think, we always waited until they got that road started because we didn't know when they were going to do it. So that's why it was good to have this money in reserve for that.
Okay, well, I think we'll make a call to Roger Feigard and see why virtually I haven't been seeing any activity in nearly 6 weeks out there. So,
And next month, Larry, what I will do is, because we've been kind of talking about bond proceeds and the DC reimbursement, I will update and bring a spreadsheet next time that will show you, here's what's been spent out of the bond proceeds, here's what we spent out of the DC reimbursement, and then you can kind of see the breakdown of when we're talking about the warehouse coming out of DC and the DEC. We'll all be able to see that. So we'll talk about that next month. Before then, we'll go to quarterly meetings.
sure appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, it looks like we're slated for November 25th, a couple days before Thanksgiving. Looks like that date works. At least we'll give that a try for this point, unless there's some objection.
Sure.
If not, then I'd entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Smoyer.
Yes.
Emery.
Yes.
Hudkins.
Yes.
Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you for your time and attention. We stand adjourned.